Okay, today we are playing a game on Junkertown. We are in the gold SR range, and we will be playing Toes the entire way through. We are also on the console today, so consider yourself forewarned. And we're just going to start the game. So we must attack Junkertown first. Very sad. I know, we have to play on Junkertown. Very tragic. So, Reinhardt's got his shield up right now, so we could take our shield down since he's using his. Shield management being a very important aspect of playing Toes. Just as much as when you would be playing Reinhardt, basically. And now we're only really blocking for ourselves. Our shield isn't really doing overly much. We could just take it down, because it's only blocking for us, and nobody's actually firing at us right now anyway, so it could have just been regenerating that whole time we were trying to deal with Genji, basically. So we did just run up and use our Vortex right there. Not overly many people here are going to be throwing shit at us, though, because we're using it in front of Moira, Reinhardt, other Toes, and Ashe. Ashe is not firing at us, though. So, not the best time to use it. The shields also weren't gonna, like, provide us any benefit using them right then and there, using it right then and there either, so it was just kind of like using the cooldown for the sake of it, more than anything else. So, the enemy team have picked their fight. We could put our shield down on top of the payload right now, being that it's reasonably healthy and our teammates are fighting on the payload. So, even if it's not the best angle because of where you are, if you just put your shield in the middle of the fight where it's happening, your teammates can at least shield dance with the experimental barrier, even if it's not the greatest angle possible. So, sometimes that's worth doing as well. But, I mean, they're going to win that fight regardless, mostly, but we could have made it a little bit safer. For the people fighting over there. So, Sombra just got set fucking on fire. Fortunately, there's a health kit right there. We're going pretty aggressively forward right there. Toes is not very good at getting out of a bad situation once he's in it, given he's got no mobility. So, going that far up when the enemy team is going to be regrouping is pretty scary. Who's that running up there at us? It's Bridget. Bridget and Roadhog are rushing up at us right now. So, I'm more concerned with them right now, rather than the people that were over there. The ones running up the staircase were more concerned to me. Fun fact with Sigma, by the way, is the Vortex, even though it's basically defense matrix that at the end of it converts damage into shields, it will block Roadhog's hook for some reason. So you can make Roadhog players really fucking sad when you're playing as Toes, given that you can eat his ultimate, eat the hook. It's good times. Doesn't make any sense that it can eat the hook, and I'm honestly a little bit mad that it works that way, because if you know me, you know I hate inconsistency. And having an ability that is basically defense matrix, but also blocks the hook, is very upsetting to me. On a consistency level. So Genji's in here at us right now. He was in fact chopping us. I lost track of him because I was talking about my own foolishness. That was why I went back. So I am pretty mad that it blocks the hook. But, you know, it's nice that it does, I suppose. So we've almost got Gravitic Flux built up right now. Gravitic Flux is a little bit of a weird ultimate to use with Sigma because it tends to not be very good at getting kills. It's usually better as, like, a combo ultimate. It combos pretty well with, like, any other, like, AoE ultimate, basically. Most other tank ultimates will combo with it, not Roadhog. And, that usually ends up being better than trying to, like, get kills with it, because, tragically, a lot of things counter, Gravitic Flux's damage, but it's good for, like, initiating and comboing with other ultimates. So Reinhardt did just drop down and only Earth Shatter us. Oh, he actually waited until he landed to use Earth Shatter. Good job, Reinhardt. I was like, I didn't know he, like, jumped off and used his ult. He actually did it smart, because most Reinhardt players would just immediately push Q. He didn't. He landed and then pushed it. Good man. How about that? He only really got us with it, and Zenyatta's got Trance ready, so doesn't matter that that happened to us. That's nice. But he did it right. Good for that guy. Good for him. Bob's here now. We walk up to try and block some shots with Bob. Rather than, like, trying to block Bob with the Vortex, I'd rather just be shooting Bob, to be honest with you. Took us a while to move the shield right there. The shield's been up there, like, not getting super value, but it's been inconvenient enough for them while the fight was, like, right under them. Took us a little while to move it there. One of my favorite things to do is move the shield to just always be in the way of the snipers, basically. And right here, while we're fighting this guy, we should have put the shield down here in front of us while we're fighting this guy, really, because we almost died. But we lived, so that's the important thing. I love when there's a Widowmaker over there and you just put the shield right in front of her face. It's great. Something I've noticed with the way that people respond to Toes' shield is that you can get people to move into absolutely ridiculous positions because people are desperate to get an angle that looks around Toes' shield. So you can just, like, put it in front of them, they'll move to get around it. And if you then move it with them, they almost always just slowly keep moving in that direction, even though they could reverse back to their original direction. You just keep doing it. You can slowly, and, you know, they shouldn't do this, so it won't always work, but I've noticed it happens a lot. They'll just slowly trend further and further away from their team the more you move your barrier to match them. So that's always very fun to do. If there's an Ana or a Batista on the enemy team also, it's very fun to put the barrier right in front of their faces, because they can't even, like, really break the barrier, and support players are going to have to usually go fairly out of where they'd like to be standing to see around the barrier. It could be regenerating right now, by the way. We've been wasting our shield. This is a problem I have with Toes, where I will put my barrier down somewhere, and I will then go off and do something else, this being the freedom that you have when you're playing Toes. But I will then forget that I have put my shield down somewhere while I've been walking around, and then eventually, like 5 minutes later, I'll go, oh, fuck, right, and then I'll take it down. Which is me being bad, but... So our shield could be regenerating right now. It's not really blocking anything. We've pushed the enemy team pretty far back, so it's not really accomplishing anything. It could have just been regenerating during most of this period. We'd want to put it up, like, now, as we're coming around the corner, but I suspect we forgot to move it for a while in there, because we were trying to shoot these guys. Don't even bother putting it up right now. This is the same deal as it would be with Reinhardt, where our shield's just so low that it's not worth putting it back up. Because Toes is the exact same concept as Reinhardt, where we don't ever want our shield to break, because then it goes on a cooldown or we can't access it for a while. So we don't ever want to have that happen. So if your shield's, like, low health, it's even lower health than you think it is, because we don't ever want it to break. McCree's in there. He did not accomplish a lot with that Deadeye, and we managed to absorb his flashbang, so he's a sad boy. But we just got earth-shattered from behind. So, we do have our ultimate ready right now, which is nice, but things are not going particularly well right now, as you might be able to tell, so we just want to save it. That's always very fun when you've got a beam just pointed right at you, but you're about to die, so the best you can do is, like, use your vortex, and then just hope that you live long enough to get the shields out of it at the end. It's very unfortunate that Toes has to actually finish the full channel on his Vortex to actually... I don't know what the ability is called, by the way. I'm just calling it the Vortex. It's very unfortunate that you need to wait till the end to get it. It also has the side effect where if you get stunned before it finishes, you don't get the shields out of it. So it's a very unfortunate ability. It's not very good for saving your life, unfortunately. It's mostly good for just blocking, like, real big sources of damage. Junkrat players, by the way, love to just keep throwing shit into you. You can just walk up to a Junkrat and hold it, and they just keep shooting, dude. They don't... A Junkrat player does not possess the cognitive ability to realize I should probably stop holding down left click right now. They usually double down and throw the mine into you as well. It's very fun. Anyway, so I went back here because we shouldn't put our shield up right now. Reinhardt's holding his shield up, so this is not really accomplishing much, and ours is half health, which is not good. We need it to be regenerating. Shield broke over there, now we can't use it for 5 seconds. We don't want that to have that happen. If you played Reinhardt, you get a lot of the concepts with Sigma immediately, because shield management is a really big deal. You can also block Earth Shatter as Toes as well, so that's very nice. It's harder to do because it's kind of like, it's not as easy to bait the enemy Reinhardt into doing something when you're playing Toes, but the shield deploys really quickly, so you can block it on reaction as long as you're paying attention, basically. And if you're paying attention to the enemy Reinhardt, you know he's got it, so you can just be like trying to bait it out of him. That Reinhardt, or that Winston rather, is really fucking sad about that one. So now would be a fair enough time to use Gravitic Flux, given the enemy team just got emped, so they can't really do much to counter it. But Reaper drops down behind and starts spinning instead. We should move our shield right now to block this McCree, because Reaper is currently quite close to death, and we are trying to kill that boy, so we should have moved the shield as we were chasing him down. And we've got Gravitic Flux we can now use on them as they're regrouping. So that's nice. Maybe, you know, if we're lucky, we'll just get to hold the enemy team back so that they don't get to touch it as we're pushing in. That's also very fun to do. Or they're running to touch the point in overtime. Now they aren't. I'm a big fan of doing that as well. Toes is a very fun hero. I enjoy playing him a lot. So their Reinhardt's coming at us right now. I haven't been paying as much attention as I should have been, but I think he's pretty close to having Earth Shatter at this point, so we should be concerned about that still as Toes. We decide to use Flux here. It's not great to use on, like, Moira, because Moira can fade out of Gravitic Flux, unfortunately. We should take our shield down. It's really close to breaking. Oh god, it's so close to breaking. Oh god, thank you. Yeah, Moira can fade. Oh god, don't put it back up. It's still so close to breaking. It's exactly like playing Reinhardt. We don't want to ever have it up when it's like in this much danger of breaking. Ryan just used Earth Shatter. Didn't really mean very much for him, unfortunately. And look at that, we managed to capture the point. Hooray. So now we have to defend. So now we get to, oh god, the cursor's been on the screen. Oh, Jesus Christ. We get to see if a Bastion's going to come out of the gate at us, which is always a very fun part of playing Junkertown. Refreshingly, no, there isn't. There's a lot of shit pointing at the enemy team right now, isn't there? There's a teleporter right next to their spawn door, our shield's here floating in space, and then the other Orisa set up behind us. We've got like 3 different structures erected in front of them, basically. How fun for them. So Zarya is slowly pushing the payload right now. I would have been more concerned with her rather than trying to push up further on the spawn, basically. Orisa's shield is there. Don't bother putting your shield up. It's just like the same area, and ours needs to be taken down to regenerate. So pretty much like if an Orisa shield is set up and you're playing Sigma, let Orisa's shield tank it first, because her shield is less important than yours. Yours is more important because you can move it more freely, and you need to take it down to regenerate. It's not cooldown based like Orisa's, so let hers, if she's got hers up in like a decent place, just like let hers be blocking the damage instead. Who do we try to rock? We try to rock Tracer? Guess so. Tracer's a hard one to rock, but very fun. Very fun if you can. Reinhardt skidded right in front of us right there. That wasn't very smart of him. Tragically, we didn't have the rock to use on him, but we did try to get the Tracer. I actually quite like playing against Tracer as Sigma, because if you can get the shots in with the orbs, a lot of the time you just, like, kind of just kill Tracer kind of out of nowhere, because the balls do a surprising amount of damage. Toes in general, it's quite easy to end up with, like, gold damage, even if your DPS are, like, doing well. He does, like, a fairly beefy amount of damage, and you can play quite Junkrat-esque. Don't bother trying to burst through a bubble as Toes unless somebody's going to help you do it. Because of how his left click works, you're just not going to break through the bubble, unfortunately, very easily. And you're just going to end up giving Zarya a lot of, just more charge in a lot of cases. Tragically, he's not very good at breaking the bubble. And then actually killing the Zarya underneath, because he's got such a long wind-up between his 2 shots. Also, be careful when you go for the melee, right after using your left click, because he throws the 2 orbs slightly spread out. So if you melee too quickly, you actually cancel the second orb firing, but it still has the same recovery. which we actually did do when we were trying to kill the Zarya. We cancelled one of the orbs, so careful when you go for the melee right after the left click as toes. You can end up fucking yourself by missing on one of the balls damage, which is way more important than the left click. Oh, it's always very sad when the side swipes kills you, isn't it? Things were going pretty badly at that point. We've got Gravitic Flux now, so that's nice, but they're going to capture that checkpoint. Not the end of the world. Junkertown, you can feasibly win on any of the checkpoints, so we're not too sad to have lost the first one. So, there was no reason to do any of what we just did right here, because they just captured this checkpoint, so there's nothing to gain out of that. And we have full ult charge right now. So us doing that harassment right there did nothing but cost us our accretion cooldown, and risked us getting killed, and now their healers get to build some ult charge off of healing the person we did that damage to, because it was unlikely to ever convert into, like, a kill or anything. So now we are using the Symmetra teleporter to do some funky stuff to them. Hanzo's over there, so that's cool. I'm actually more concerned with shooting the people in the Gravitic Flux right now, though, because this is the main idea with Gravitic Flux, is you lift them up, and then you try to hit someone while they're up in the air, because if you can get them below half health while they're up in the air, the slam's gonna kill them. So the idea is you lift them up, and then while they're held in the air, you try to hit them so that you can drop them down below half before the slam goes off. Doesn't always matter if they've got some kind of, like, defensive thing that they're also going to use, but that's the idea, rather than, like, focusing on other people after that. What I will also point out is that us going for that teleporter play was extremely dangerous, because it put us in behind the enemy team. And as we covered earlier, Toes is not very good at getting himself out of a dangerous situation once he's in it. So I would rather have not used the teleporter, because if the plan was to use Gravitic Flux, us being behind the bad men gave us zero advantage in terms of hitting them with it. We went for the teleporter right there. I don't want to do that one either, because it just put us right next to Reinhardt, and that's where Reinhardt wants us to be. We do not want to be touching Reinhardt, because we are a ranged boy. Reinhardt is not a ranged boy, so it was only of benefit to him. Reinhardt players never countercharge, by the way, so very upsetting, I know, but they never do. They never do. So we just got pinned, very sad. And look, now he's charged into the enemy team, but he pinned the Lucio, so good for him. Not the most optimal shield position right there for fighting Zarya. We just kind of threw it down wherever we could upon turning, but she's never gonna move over there, so we want it more on the payload than over in that direction, but we probably just, like, reflexively threw it down. And yeah, they're gonna capture that checkpoint. It's not looking too good right now. All of us slowly dying one by one. We are over halfway back towards having Gravitic Flux, which is nice. A little bit of a time warp right there. They did indeed capture the checkpoint. Whatever, it's not the end of the world. This being pretty much the hardest checkpoint to capture on Junkertown, so not that bad if we have to defend it. And we're still most of the way back to having Gravitic Flux again. Don't know what our teammates are like for ultimates. Sigma is one of those heroes where you want to keep track of your teammates' ultimates, because Gravitic Flux usually needs assistance to get something done. Yeah, someone's right next to us. It was their Reinhardt. I thought I saw someone go down there, and yeah, and then when I seen the bubble go next to us, yeah, someone was indeed right next to us there. What a sneaky big man he was. It didn't really work out very well for him, though, so good for us. We do also have an obligation as and this is why I was bringing it up. We do have an obligation as someone that can eat ultimates to try and be keeping track of, like, Zarya's and May's, so that we can try and eat their ultimates as well, because we have a Diva-esque ability, fulfilling a lot of the same utility as Defense Matrix, but being... don't know what I pushed to make that happen, but being, because I pushed space. I definitely didn't push escape, but, you know, whatever. No, way harder to use to eat ultimates than Defense Matrix is, but we still have it, so it's an obligation we have to try and deal with. He did indeed just punch us in the face, so not much to be done about that one, unfortunately. It is hard to eat ultimates like that as Toes, especially since you just have to be directly in the path, but, you know, gotta try and keep track of it. I'm bad at it, but it's something to work on. So, Zarya's fucking dead. Who did we shoot at when we actually lifted them up again? Down there. Again, goal is to drop these people to below half before they get slammed down, so that we actually kill them with the slam. Their Moira is in fact behind us right now, which is of concern. We've been getting sipped this entire time. Someone's also yelling Moira, Moira, at the same time. There is indeed a Moira behind us that we should have been concerned with, given that killing the enemy's main healer is usually pretty good for your chances of winning. Overall, the fight's not going too well for them, but they are, like, right there. I'm more just concerned with, like, C9ing at that point, though, because it looked like we were going to win the fight by that point. Though it was still a little sketchy. So, Lucio's dead. Oh, sick. Lucio's pretty staggered. Moira's trying to stagger herself right now, as well. Here comes Doomfist. Doomfist is very upsetting to play against when you're playing Toes, because there isn't a whole lot that you can do to counter Doomfist except hit him with the rock. Which is fairly hard to do on Doomfist while he's flinging himself all over the place, and the rock is fairly difficult to actually hit people with, it being a fairly slow projectile, and the hitbox is just slightly off. Not by much. I don't think it's a very deceptive hitbox, but it is a little bit smaller than it looks like it should be. Anyway, so there's a big old shield in front of us right now. We're feeling pretty safe until the bad men start walking through at us, and Zarya came, like, running for us, which is honestly, like, it was scary for us, but there were better things she could have been doing with her time than trying to chase us down right there, given the way the fight was going behind her. And it's not looking too good for them at this point. They're about to run out of time, so they're going to have to start rushing back just to touch the point. They could mostly regroup and come in here all at once, but you know how people are. We're expecting just, like, people to start coming in 1 and 2 at a time, right? Oh, Doomfist's back again. We did just try and chuck the rock down there at somebody when the, Reinhardt when he was coming through the tunnel. It's very hard to actually hit Reinhardt with the rock because he can just put his shield up to block it. So you usually want to save it rather than chuck it at Reinhardt instead. Just because he has such an easy method of blocking it, unless he's committed to something else, in which case, hey, you're gonna get him. But that's about big reads more than anything else. And Tracer's back again. Oh, Tracer's dead. Sick. Awesome. We got him. Easy game. Look at that. 25 credits. How nice. You know, 25 credits doesn't sound like a lot, but what if you just play, like, 5 games, you know? You're gonna end up with Big Fist Dad. Not playing Doomfist, playing Tracer. God damn it. You're gonna end up with a fair amount of credits, is what I was gonna say. So, what stood out the most in that game was basically shield management, where we had it up a fair bit when we could have had it down, regenerating instead, which this is an important aspect of playing Toes, because if you get caught, the easiest way to die as Toes is to poorly manage your shield, and because you're a slow boy, if your shield breaks or gets knocked down really low and you end up in a bad situation, you're pretty fucked. Like, you're a big guy, you're easy to hit, you aren't getting out fast. So, shield management's very important when you're playing Toes, especially since he is a main tank. I find often better played with Orisa as a, well, I guess you can argue at that point who's the off-tank out of the two of them, but I find that's usually the best one, but you will frequently end up playing Toes as a main tank, so shield management is a very big deal. Particularly if you're playing Toes against a Reinhardt, which is fine to do because you can still block Earth Shatter, but you have to be thinking about it a little bit harder than you would if you were playing Reinhardt, but that was the thing that stood out the most. Also, like, not focusing the people we hit with Gravitic Flux. instead usually firing at somebody else right after we did it. But we want them to fucking die when we slam them into the ground, because it feels really good. And it's easy to hit them while they're held up in the air, because they aren't going to do anything too funky unless they're playing specific heroes. So, there you go. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST till midnight EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still found it enjoyable, please like the video and subscribe for more content of more middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful. So close.